Hello everyone and welcome back to Maple Leaf Reviews. My name is Jeffrey.
And my name is Jacob.
And today we're doing a review of Seasons, a 2012 game, so a little bit older.
Yeah.
And it's a game that we've played quite a bit.
Yeah. I've got, I think, 40-something plays.
Yeah, and
Seasons.
I have 29 plays of this game so far.
I might be in the 30s.
So we're coming from a place of much knowledge.
Yeah.
After playing the game for this much.
Yeah, it's horrible. I give it a 1.
So yeah, I mean, obviously we've played it a lot, so we must think, some good things about the game.
Yeah.
We'll see exactly what those things are.
So what do you think of the artwork of the game? Art and components.
I like it. I mean, I like the artwork. The only thing is the cards are like cardboard instead of like the really thick cardstock, so they don't shuffle really well.
Right.
When there's so many cards now because there's 2 expansions out, so the stack of cards is that on the table, and trying to shuffle that at the beginning sucks. But the dice that you draft throughout the game, they're really big, chunky. The symbols are good on them and easy to read.
Yeah, I mean, as far as artwork's concerned, I love this art style. I really enjoy that. Cardstock's not a problem for me.
I hate it.
I've never had a problem with it.
I hate it.
I don't understand that. Because I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Wow.
But you can take his word for it.
It's the worst card quality of any game that I've played.
Wow. Yeah, no, definitely not for me.
Yeah. Well, maybe I only play good games. So.
Maybe. I don't know. Sure.
So moving on then into rules and teaching.
Right.
What do you think about this?
I think it's an easy game to teach. I've never had any problems teaching anyone this game.
For me, I will disagree with that.
Okay.
I think it's easy to teach what you do, but you can teach someone the rules and then you hand them these deck of cards because you draft your cards at the beginning of the game, and then they're just going to look at the cards and be like, well, what do I take?
Right.
Well, what do I do? Because you need the experience of playing a game before you can kind of see, well, what should I be taking? What's actually going to be good? And because you have to separate them into piles for each year, you kind of got to know, okay, well, this is a better early game card. This is a better late game card. So I agree it's not hard to teach, but that first play is going to be a learning game for sure.
I would agree. And the game does come with a variant where you can play with a preset deck of cards or a preset hand of cards, so you don't have to go through the drafting process. If you want to learn the game, you could do that quickly, but after that one play of learning the game, never do that again.
Yeah.
Always play with the draft, because that's the meat of the game, is the drafting.
Yeah. And then on to the theme. You are competing wizards in this 3-year tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know how many tournaments they can hold if every tournament takes 3 years to run.
Well, you're producing the Arc Wizard or the Arc Sorcerer.
Yeah, the Archmage.
Archmage, sure.
Yeah.
And they're going to be taking over the realm. So I guess the old one died, and it's going to be without an Archmage for 3 years.
Yeah.
Or he's going to die in about 3 years. So let's start now.
Let's get this started.
I don't know.
I mean, I definitely feel the magical aspect coming through, and the combating thing. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think the theme does come out in the game.
Yeah, the theme plays. I don't know about the whole story aspect. No. I don't feel like, oh yeah, this was year 1 and I was like foraging through this forest and I found this familiar who joined my clan.
Yeah, I don't feel that.
No, like it's just you're playing some magical stuff, attacking each other,
and you're being competitive.
Yeah,
yeah. So on to the gameplay and mechanisms. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the game in that regard?
The drafting is really fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. They have the drafting of the cards in the beginning of the game before it starts. And then every turn of the game, you're rolling a bunch of these thick, chunky dice, like Jeff said. And they all have symbols where you're drafting those and pulling elements so you can summon your cards. The drafting of that is really cool, too, because the drafting of those plays a part in how long the game is going to take. You can actually try and force the game to speed up or slow down if you're lagging behind everyone else.
And depending on the strategy you're going for, if you're going for a more slowly accrue points, like you want more and more rounds because every round you get points. You want to drag it out as long as possible. Whereas you're playing cards that kind of just give you instant points. You want to end the game quickly before the other people can build up their engines.
Yeah.
So there is some decision making that goes in there.
Yeah.
So kind of going into the combo nature.
Yeah.
For me, it's both a positive and negative about the game.
Interesting.
I love the combos. Like, you get this card that does this, and then you have this card that allows you to do that, and you pull this card out and you draw a card, and that allows you to play it for free. When it works, it's really good, but it doesn't always work, and sometimes you're not even able to make it work at all based on what you draw or what you draft, because sometimes it's like a critical card that you need to get the strategy to fit together. If you just don't ever get that card, or it just doesn't come together. And I found, sometimes I have a really great game where everything kind of comes together. I'm having a lot of fun, and then sometimes it just doesn't. I'm watching someone else's game come together, and I'm not having fun at all.
Interesting. I've never had that happen where I haven't had fun.
That's because you win all the time.
No, I haven't won like the last 3 games I've played.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I really like that card combination and figuring that puzzle out as you're drafting. If you didn't get it in the draft, then you can start drawing cards and try and find it that way. There's a bunch of cards that let you kind of mill through the deck and search for stuff. So there are ways to get the thing that you need. I have tried strategies where it completely bombed and it didn't come together at all, and everyone else was destroying me. I still had fun trying to puzzle out, okay, how can I get around this? Right. How can I try and strike a comeback here?
Yeah, but I find that's so hard to do, because if you don't draft it in your initial hand, you can draw cards, but you have to get that dice to come up, then you take the die, and then you're just drawing one off the top, and then it's, well, did I get it? No. And then if you don't have any of the cards in your draft that allow you to go through the deck and get new ones, you're kind of just, like, there's been a lot of games where I've just been stuck with a whole lot of nothing.
Really?
And so
you're just bad at drafting, is what you're saying.
Yeah. that may be, or the pool of cards that come off in the draft, it just doesn't work together as well as some of the other ones. So I mean, it's a positive and negative. When it works, it's really fun. When it doesn't, it kind of just sucks. And you're like, okay, well, let's finish the game. So maybe next time I'll get a good draft.
Yeah, I will agree that you can have a bad game. You can have your combos not come together. The elements that you're rolling aren't coming together. You're not getting what you need. It is possible to have a bad game of Seasons, but I love it.
Yeah, and then that kind of I want to talk about player count.
Okay.
And this is, I think we've talked about this before, and it's something that I think we disagree on.
Okay.
I think this game is best at 2 players.
Right.
Because it's, boom, boom, it's my turn again, I'm doing something. So if you do have a bad game where you don't draft as well, or you don't get the combos coming together, I mean, the game is over in like half an hour.
Right.
With 4 players, that extra people being around is just more downtime.
Right.
I play my turn, and then I gotta wait for everyone else to go around. And there's a lot of thought because other people are building their combos.
Sure.
So especially when your combo doesn't come together, and then you're just, okay, well, I'll just play this card. Or you don't even do that. Okay, I'll take this dice, I take these resources, and then that's it. And then you wait 5-6 minutes for it to come back around to you. You're just like, okay, come on, let's move this along.
Right. Again, I don't have that problem. I feel like the game isn't long enough for that to be an issue. I think 2 players, you're looking at maybe 30-minute game. Yeah. And then 4 players, you're looking at a 60-minute game.
Right. But that extra 30 minutes is downtime.
I guess.
Right. That goes from a 30-minute game where you're engaged for like 15 minutes of that you're playing, and then you're thinking about your turn, but then adding in those 2 extra players is just downtime.
Well, there is interaction with the cards.
Right.
So people are playing stuff that are attack cards that are going to affect you. They're going to have cards in play that can tap and do negative effects and things to you. And so there is that interaction there.
And that's the other thing I don't like about the higher player count is there's so many cards on the table, it's hard to keep track of with 4 players.
Right.
And the odds that someone is going to have something that's going to negatively impact you is much higher. So with 2 players, you're able to keep track, okay, they have this ability, and the likelihood that they're going to have cards that are going to mess up with your strategy is lower. Right. So that's why I think 2 players, for me, is where the game is best.
See, I don't get that, because then there's no player interaction.
No, there still is, but it's just not as chaotic of, okay, yeah, I want to do a tapping strategy. Well, in a 4-player game, someone has thieving fairies.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's a huge stack of cards, and you're only using about that much in a game.
Yeah.
So it may or may not come out. But if you are doing a tapping strategy and that comes out, yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah. You're
in trouble. So I like that interaction. I like that chaos. The extra downtime isn't an issue for me personally.
Right.
It's just like more opponents for me to try and take out and to try and figure out a strategy. Oh man, he has that card. How am I gonna counter that? What am I gonna do to?
But that's where I'm saying is the problem is there's so many other cards that you're like, okay, well, what did you do again? And then they're like, okay, well, I'm doing this. And well, what card gives you that ability to do that? And I find myself constantly being like, not being able to keep track of what everyone is able to do.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Right? So that's anyway my own experience with the game.
Okay.
But if you like more chaos and all that stuff, I much prefer less chaos, more strategy.
Right.
Being able to see what the other person has and then respond to that rather than having to keep track of 3 other players' tableau of cards.
I think there's a lot of strategy in the game, even with 4 players. It's just a matter of it's your own strategy and you're being countered by other people.
Right.
Okay.
So I quickly wanted to touch on, well, somewhat quickly touch on the expansions.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's 2 expansions out for the game. I'm going to say 90% of the expansions, well, probably 50% of the expansions, I would do away with.
Okay.
I just want more cards.
Yeah.
And then the expansions come with additional stuff. There's a Destiny die that allows you to roll that instead of only taking your regular die. You could do away with that easily.
Right.
That doesn't add that much to the game. There's enchantment cards that you can take one at the beginning of the game and it changes the rules of the game or the setup of the game or like something in the game gets changed.
Right.
I'd never play with that.
Yeah.
Just do the draft and play that way. And then there's the special abilities thing where everyone gets 2, they choose one. I think you can completely do away with that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't change the game at all. Yeah. So I think the expansions that just give you more cards, that's the good part of the expansion. They had all this extra stuff that I think just it takes away from the game.
Right. I would agree for the most part. What I want in the game is more cards. I want more expansions for this game with just more cards. As you were mentioning, the event cards that change the rules of the game. Yeah, I've never played with them. I don't want to. Right. I've looked through some of them and they're kind of lame.
Yeah.
And then there are those little tokens that give you a unique special power. Again, it's usually a one-time use, like, oh, you get, 1 resource that whatever you want.
Yeah.
Or you get to draw a card.
Yeah.
They're not game-changing. They're not earth-breaking. So it's just like, yeah, you can play with them or without them. It's not adding a whole lot. I like that moon die. Though the Destiny die, I think that's a great feature of the game because if you're left with 2 dice that you have no use for,
right,
and you're not getting anything out of it, but you got to take one, with the moon die, you can always take the moon die instead, and it gives you these little moon icons, which give you moon points. The person with the most moon points is going to get a whole bunch of victory points at the end of the game. So that's a way to kind of get around choosing a bad die because, of a flop roll.
Right.
The moon die also has question mark resources. So if you get lucky, you can choose what resources you want yourself, which is also an awesome thing to have.
Yeah, I think of those 3, the moon die is the best.
Yeah.
But I still think you could take that away without negatively impacting the game.
You could easily take it away, but I think I would always play with it just because of that, giving you 1 extra option if you're left with 2 dice that you hate.
Right. All right, so are you ready for final thoughts?
Let's do it.
For the game. So, for me, I'm giving it a final rating of 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Even, I used to really like it.
Right.
But the more I play it, the more those swings of, this is, I get the combos and everything comes together. Okay, I had an awesome game. And then the next game might not be like that. And even when I get those combos come together, the likelihood that my opponent has it come together too isn't all that high. So it's kind of like I'm just beating them outright. And it's like, okay, well, I'm 100 points ahead of you, so yay for me.
Right.
And I kind of feel bad that it's not coming together for them, because it's of their no fault of their own. It's not they're playing. It's just the cards they managed to draft didn't work together as well as mine.
Right.
So it's a 6 out of 10. I would play it with 2, every now and again. It's fun to just play. I would never play it with 3 or 4 again.
Wow. Okay. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. This is a game that I would always play with 4. I don't think I would want to play it with 2 because there isn't enough going on.
Have you ever played it with 2?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't think I would ever want to play with 2 again because there isn't enough happening in the game.
I will disagree. I think there's just as there is less happening, but you're still getting the bulk of it because it's all about your combo. And when you add in the more people, you're just trying to avoid other people's negatives towards you. And in a 2-player game, it's more about your combo, and it's much quicker. It's kind of like in Legendary, where you're building your deck, and you just, okay, I want it to be my turn again so I can play.
Right.
It's the same thing for me with Seasons, where it's like I'm building my combo, and I want to build my combo, and everyone else is just taking their turns and getting in the way of me building my combo. And I'm just like, okay, come on, move it.
Yeah, no, I don't get that at all. I don't have an inkling of resemblance to that Marvel Legendary feeling of you just want it to be your turn. I'm always interested in what other people are doing. I have a blast playing this every time. I always want max player count and more cards, more chaos.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun for me.
All right. Well, if that sounded interesting to you or not so interesting to you.
Yeah. Take a side and just go with it.
I think it's an average game for me. But if it has those components that you like, then it may be better for you.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's a bad game at all.
Right.
It's just average for me.
I feel like it's Magic the Gathering, the board game. And you're just gathering resources to play your spells and do your combo to battle other people.
All right. Well, that's Seasons. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Follow us on Twitter at MeepleLeaf and go to the description down below to our board game links and give us some sweet love.
All right. See you guys next time.
Take care.